Okay, so we have our bell work. We have identified the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. So, protons, neutrons, and electrons. So, copper, how many protons do we have in copper? 29, thank you. How many neutrons do we have in copper? 35. So we have 63. We rounded out to 64. So 64 minus 29 gives me 35. And how many electrons do we have?
27.
27. No. Nope.
29 minus 27.
29.
Minus 2.
Yeah, sorry. I'm looking at that so wrong. Okay. Minus 2 is 27. I was off in La La Land.
Wait, where do we get the 2 from?
Where did we get what?
Oh, from the plus 2?
From the 2, yes. That's my charge. So, yes.
And when we get an element like this, will we always get the little square to go along with it?
That periodic table,
Uh-huh.
the reference chart, you always have a reference chart in front of you.
Okay.
I'll never take that away from you.
Okay. I was going to say, because there's no way I'm going to remember it.
No. I don't even remember. I know where it is on the periodic table, like a map. I can tell, but I don't. I have to look at it to tell you what number it is.
Okay.
Unless it's like the first 20. The first 20.
Okay. And we have to have those three things to know these, correct?
You can be given certain parts. I can give you, if you look at your homework, you can see that I've given you certain parts. And I'm going to explain that isotope notation at the top. And that, I will explain that, and that gives you a lot of information right there. Okay, so nitrogen with a minus 3 charge, how many protons? 7. How many neutrons?
7.
And how many electrons? 10. Potassium with a plus 1 charge. Potassium's K. 19. How many neutrons? 39 minus 19. 20. And the charge is going to be 19 minus 1 is 18. Good. Any questions over that? All right, so let's go on. So isotope notation. So isotopes are what?
The atoms of the same element that have different numbers of neutrons.
Atoms of the same element that have different numbers of neutrons. So you will be seeing stuff written like this. Nitrogen hyphen 14, or it may be written as N hyphen 14. That 14 right there is your mass. This 15 right here is your mass. Okay, so usually it'll give you the mass. If it doesn't give you the mass, we're looking at the periodic table. Okay? So you can see it written, this is the hyphen notation. There's a hyphen in it, hence the reason why we call it the hyphen notation. And then we also have a nuclide notation where it is written with the symbol, and then it has a superscript and a subscript to the left. The superscript represents our mass number, and our mass number represents our protons plus our neutrons. And the atomic number, which represents our protons.
So nuclide notation is the in 14 and 7?
It's that whole thing. This is your whole nuclide notation. So right there, I've given you a lot of information. So you can see that the top number is always going to be the biggest number, and the biggest number is always your mass. So mass over your atomic number. And then we can give it a charge if we wanted to. This one has a charge of what? A charge. Is there anything over to the right-hand side of the N superscript? No. So it has a charge of 0. So that means protons equal electrons.
Do you?
You have nitrogen. You have the two nitrogen equation, two nitrogen things, and it says like mass, and then it's like mass goes to.
That goes to the 14. This 14, this number after the name, after the hyphen, is the mass. Okay, so that is the mass. So if I just told you nitrogen, what mass would you use? Where would you go to find the mass? You'd go to the periodic table and you'd get a whole number from the periodic table. So we would take 14.00874, and round that to 14. But usually we're going to put a hyphen there and give you the mass number. Or we'll give it to you in this nuclide notation like we see here.
Wait, how do they find the mass of these things?
The protons plus the neutrons? Yes.
That works for every single thing of them?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, because they can't really weigh them.
Okay. Well, so that's why we're just using like whole numbers, because remember the mass of it is like 10 to the minus 24th or something. So we just take it to a whole number. Any questions on this? Okay. Now, if it's not given, if they don't tell you and they just say nitrogen, and I've been repeating this is the second day I've said this, we go to the periodic table. And you're going to take 14 and you're going to round that. You're going to take 14.007 and round it to 14. Because remember, we cannot have 0.007 of a proton or a neutron. So you'll either be given it or you're going to the periodic table and taking the whole number. Any questions on that?
So this one you're just looking at the number?
Yes, you're just looking at the number. So if I just said, hey, you are given chlorine, tell me how many protons, neutrons, and electrons chlorine has, you don't know which chlorine you have, so you're going to assume you'd have going to the one on the periodic table.
Okay.
Whereas if I said, hey,
Wait,
you have
chlorine is an
chlorine
element?
37. Yes, dear.
I thought that it was like a compound.
No, that's an element.
Put that in your pool.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, any questions? All right, let's do some practice, I think, maybe.
Wait, can you go back to
Oops.
to real quick? Not this one, the one before. Oh wait, not that one.
The next one?
Uh-huh.
That
Oh,
one?
Yes. Okay, I'm good.
Okay, here's one if it says you have a charge of -3. You have nitrogen and minus, and -3. So we're going to assume that we have 14 as our mass, which means we have 7 protons, 7 neutrons, and now if it has a -3 charge, how many electrons does it have? 10. Okay, again, if you need the mathematical how to do that, it is right there. She looks so excited back there. She's like, yay!
Go to school already.
I know, it's only like 4
This
weeks.
pen is glittery.
It's already been 4 weeks.
It's like it's been.
Feels like it's
For
been
like
maybe
4 years.
2.
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
I feel like I've been here my whole life.
let's practice. Red phosphorus is an allotrope of phosphorus that can be made by heating white phosphorus to temperatures above 240 degrees Celsius. The most common isotope of phosphorus can be represented by this nuclide right here. How many protons, electrons, and neutrons does this isotope have? So first of all, how many protons do we have?
15.
15. So we need to find the one that has 15 represented as the first number. So does A does not represent that. B, possibly.
Possible.
C, possible. D, no. E, no. All right. Electrons. How many electrons does it have?
15.
15. So we have 15 here and 15 here. So those are both possible answers. And neutrons. How many neutrons does it have?
16.
It has 16. So our answer is C.
31 was.
C. You guys are correct.
Phosphorus is one of the components of making meth.
Oh my goodness. How would you know that? Sure.
Well, and then I was curious how you made it, so I was.
So then you went and Googled it. Yes. Do you know where you can find red phosphorus at?
Wait,
On the matchboxes,
Yes.
correct?
what do you mean?
On the matchboxes, they use it to strike your matches.
That's red phosphorus, so you can make meth out of that?
Well, you have to buy a lot of
You have to-
them and scratch them off.
Well, how do meth makers get the red phosphorus?
They buy matchboxes.
They go to
But
Lowe's
it's
and.
not as clear. Like, it's not as pure when you do it.
How do you know that?
It
Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad teaches us everything.
does.
The most stable isotope of silver is given by Ag superscript 107 over 47. How many protons, neutrons, and electrons does it have? So how many protons?
47.
47. So A and B. Oops. I forgot to push pencil first. Oops, and I did that wrong. It's Friday.
C.
Friday.
So we've got protons. How many neutrons do we have?
47.
No. What?
107 minus 47 is
Oh, okay.
60.
Oh, I was looking for like.
So C and E. So it's D. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. Whoa.
Lakin would have got caught there.
Well, even if they did confuse us. Oh, wait,
No.
You
You would have got caught.
All right. Now this is, I think, maybe our last problem. Determine the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons in each. All right.
Bob.
Well, what is B?
Oh, I can't do that one.
Barium. How many protons in barium? 56.
It's up there. It's
How many neutrons does it have?
56. Oh, wait, neutrons?
It's 137. 81? How many electrons does it have? 56. Y'all want me to slow down? You want? Hey, you can always get there's a periodic table over there, right beside you, the yellow ones.
Does anybody have glue?
15 and 15.
I don't know how good it is though.
Do you have
It's-
glue that, like, I don't want to make it big? And so that's, you're going to say no to that.
You can, I don't care. It's right back there, maybe. Okay, phosphorus. What is the number of protons for phosphorus?
15.
How many neutrons does it have? 16.
Oh, technically it's because it's 31.
And how many electrons does it have? It's a minus 3 charge. 18.
Is it normally going to go P and E?
It doesn't. I don't know. You just have to pay attention. I always try to go protons, neutrons, electrons.
I thought it was like more towards 6.
All right, sodium, Na.
Well, you take it off the
Protons is,
you don't take it off
neutrons is 23, 12. And electrons are 10.
Oh, so is that plus just 1?
That plus, if you see a plus like that you're going to assume that's a 1. Okay? Plus 1.
It says a negative charge of 235.
No.
Oh, never mind.
U-235. So U is uranium. So what is...
2.
235 is the mass, so 235 minus 92 gets me 143. And what is how many electrons does it have? 92.
Good talk.
Look at my pen, that's why it's glittery.
It's so pretty.
I really like
I really like pens like that. Any questions over that?
Wait.
Yes.
The negative 235.
This is-
that the charge?
Can somebody tell him what that is? Yes. It's the mass number. So it's a hyphen notation. Mass number, and that means it's my protons plus my neutrons.
So then you just don't do anything with that mass number?
No, if you have a hyphen like that, it's given to you.
Okay.
Or it might give you like this, U235.
Oh, yeah, because that's our mass.
Okay?
And our bottom would be.
And that would be 92. Any other questions? All right, let me see what's on my next slide. Oh, that means we are done. So you guys have time to work on your project or work on your homework. Remember, homework is 1 through 11.